Mark Hebsy, we're live on your YouTube channel.
Hey, fantastic. For the first time in I don't know how long, we're doing the whole show, the red carpet show, and the podcast from the backyard studio in New Toronto. We don't have a real name for that. Like the backyard studio is sort of it gives you an idea, but we would have to have a series of cameras here for you to get the effect of this. Beautifully sort of secluded in like a little corner of the lot here. You got some nice shade trees, which also act as bafflers. I don't suspect it gets too loud unless there's construction going on in the street here, Mike. Like even the chirping of birds is like very subtle, and it's really lovely.
It's great until Bojana mows the lawn next door. But,
right.
Otherwise, yeah, it's lovely back here.
The only problem I find, Mike, is it would be very difficult for me to be argumentative or contradictory
it's lovely
in a setting like this.
Because you're too calm?
Right.
We need to aggravate you?
Well,
Maybe
no,
need the lawnmower.
I don't think that's it. I just think that, I'm less apt to scream or yell or whatever when I know that there's, people within earshot.
Oh, I hear you. Okay, but they're all working or at school.
But even nature. I don't want to upset the crickets and the, the chinch bugs.
And the woodpecker that you'll see.
And the woodpecker.
So I'm going to tweet the link to this live stream.
You peckerhead. Welcome, by the way. If you've never watched this before, and you know what else? Our numbers have gotten, I think we're doubled, maybe a little bit more. I haven't looked, but ever since Ian Service switched the tracking system around.
By my request.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for that. Because it was a long time coming, right? There's a lot of stuff you just didn't use, but now it's like, whoa, this is great. I know exactly, how many people are listening at what time, downloads, partial downloads, the whole deal. So it's great. And welcome to all you new folks. Yeah, we used to do this on a regular basis. We were in Mike's basement studio here for the longest time, of course. And then COVID, caused some issues, of course. And originally, Mike, I guess in the early days of COVID, we did it from the backyard studio. Because we were allowed to stay, even though we're still socially distanced.
Right.
At the time, social distancing was a big, as long as you social distance, you'll be okay. We didn't wear masks when we did the show, but we were outdoors.
Right. We got permission from the government, essentially, to actually get together in the same space. By the way, don't forget to retweet that tweet.
Right. Thank you. Do a little song and dance.
Okay, I'm actually going to say hi to Mike Kerr. I think he just waits by his computer for the notification, and then he clicks over.
I love it.
And it's amazing. So Mike Kerr, hello. Marlon Canales says, good morning. He goes, first time watching live. Marlon, what took you so long? 249 episodes or something like that. Let me check my own...
No, never. Don't say that. Thanks.
In fact, let me put that on.
We're glad you discovered us. Not what took you so long.
Here, I added the. I just added the. What do you call that? Chiron. Is that called a Chiron?
Chiron is a type of a digital graphic.
So I put an overlay. I just added it now to the live stream, so everybody knows this is September 10, and this is episode 249. And who else is joining us? This is cool because we're gonna get rocking at 9:20 sharp. But Paul Hawkyard, he says we look marvelous. That's a Billy Crystal reference, I think. So
that's Billy Crystal playing the part of Ricardo Montalban, right? You look marvelous. It doesn't. What was the expression? It was. It doesn't matter how you feel; it's how you look, and you look marvelous.
Andrew Jeeves says, "Morning, Hebsy and Toronto Mike. Nice to see you both together again. Although we will say we were together 2 weeks ago today, so it's not like."
But not in any. Mike, you were about to launch like a huge night. You had big responsibilities.
Right.
I was amazed that you were even out there before the show. I thought, no, I'm serious, because anyone that has that much responsibility usually is behind the curtain.
I hear you.
Before coming out.
But who would set up
doing the show?
Who would set up everything? That's the problem.
But it's like you were you were like the janitor there. You were the greeter there. You were the valet parking attendant there. You were the receiver there. That's right, the receiving line. You're introducing everyone. It was lovely. We had a good time.
And Daniel Finkler, Moose Grumpy, and of course, I just see now joining us from Vancouver, the one and only, your biggest fan, I would say, Eugene Velitis.
Listen, Gene and I had some good times together back in the day, Jesse and Gene, and they're still going strong. They've sometimes you just got to reinvent yourself. And the other thing I realized was when you are part of a successful duo,
yes,
no matter what I don't care if it's a law firm, Smith and Jones. It doesn't matter. Rock group, whatever.
Right.
If you're part of a duo, you'll never, I shouldn't say this because Sting is probably listening. You'll never achieve the same success as an individual, right? Although he's a real prick.
Oh.
Did I ever tell you the story, the Paul Simon story that they told me for the guys from Los Lobos?
Tell me.
That's for another time.
Okay. Oh, you're teasing me.
No, but remind me of it because it's a classic and it's about Paul Simon and what a cheap prick he is and how he stole music from them and never credited them.
But you're totally right. Like, it's tough to...
Right. It's tough to break away from that. And, when I was with Taddy for all those years, I was like, hey, where's Jim Taddy? They would see me, right? And so at that point, you kind of take on I can do this by myself. I can be successful by myself. I don't need Jim Taddy. I can do my own thing.
Right.
And, and a lot of times it takes a while before you find that niche on your own. But someone is always going to say, hey, I remember you with Jim. You're never going to avoid it. So you have to embrace it. You have to. You can't say, well, what about my solo career? Yeah, fuck it. You can't do that, man. You gotta say, hey, thanks for that. Because you got to admit to yourself that the success of that duo for whatever period of time was greater than any individual success you're going to achieve in the same field.
Right.
Got it? You could be the best play-by-play announcer, the best interviewer, the best journalist. You're going to go, yeah, I remember you and Taddy, man. I used to watch you all the time, the Hebsy Awards. What are you going to do?
Well, Jay Onright's probably going through this right now, because Jay and Dan were such a duo for a long time. In fact, even the Tim and Sid duo has been broken up. We'll see. But
do me a favor.
Yeah.
Mention the Jay and Dan thing when we do the podcast. Because I know everyone that's watching now will be listening to the podcast part of it anyway. They're not going to know.
Yeah, but I did notice that.
Quiet, Marge. He's starting the podcast now. The other shit, don't worry about.
Right. That's when you take out your earplugs.
But this is the first time, with the exception of my girlfriend and my parents and my brother and a couple of shopkeepers, that I've actually sat and spoken to someone in person in the same, not room here, but in the same space.
And I'm going to save this for the podcast, but something I was reading about your parents, which is quite remarkable.
Yeah, 69 years married. 69 years.
We gave you a shout out. Who was I with? I can't remember now. One of the episodes this week. Rick the Temp, maybe.
Right.
No, you know who it was?
Rick the Temp from Hamilton, man.
Yeah,
Rick
the Hammer.
Campanelli.
He was great.
Yeah,
but
he's good.
But also a bud of yours came over to kick out the jams, Rob Del Mundo, and we did pay tribute to your parents.
Nice. And the hip, I hope.
Oh yeah, the first song we played was the Tragically Hip.
Yeah, of course. Had to be. Had to be. All right. So
are 9:17. You want to go early? I don't care.
Well,
like do
you think anyone, when you used to watch TV, like regular, shows coming, so-and-so's coming on at 7:00, were you there early to make sure you didn't miss the very beginning of 60 minutes? Were you there at 6:57?
1 minute early.
So
maybe.
why don't we,
and this is different. You get notified. Like the real fans get notified when we're live. So it's like the whole 9:20 thing. It could be 9:20 p.m. They're going to get the notification, and most will click over and see what Hebsy has to say. So.
Can I put this somewhere else? Do you have the monitor to see what this looks like?
I had it. I'm going to look at the monitor now. I wish I could show you, but
this is it's a different setup.
It's just right now. It's
what I'm doing at home.
Yeah, it's you pushed it so forward now. It's blocked by the date on the Chiron. But
don't worry about it.
Do you want me to wear it?
Yeah, wear it here.
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
I thought it was
here. Whoa. You got a good lid there. It's a good looking lid. Okay, let's Hebsy,
it's literally all I got. So. All right.
By the way.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
The door's been closed. Monica has closed the door. She's like, I only listen to the podcast. She says she doesn't want spoilers.
She doesn't want to hear it live.
Although we got to get into it. The Leylah Fernandez stuff. She's all in. You should have seen her every point. She never watches tennis. She hasn't watched tennis since Bianca.
Only because there's a Filipino background. She wouldn't have cared. She didn't care at all. There's
Bianca.
A Filipino background and there's a Canadian background, right?
I'm going to say it's
Monica's from Edmonton, right?
She's from Edmonton.
All right.
Anyway,
it's great. Definitely a Filipino fantastic. Background. I'm sure the immigration minister right now is like, this is the best thing that could happen to Canada. And we've got Felix Auger-Aliassime, a trilingual Afro-Canadian whose family has roots like all over the world. Like it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Let's get going here. Okay.
All right, brother. We're gonna count you in here. It's not the air show today. That was last weekend. I had a band here, Jane's Party, and the air show was totally like going right by. All right, my friend. Recording. Where am I here? Okay, everything's a little different. Recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington, Ontario. Nestled under the Niagara Escarpment between Rattlesnake Point and Mount Nemo, Crosswinds offers breathtaking million-dollar views, spectacular golf, outstanding customer service, and a commitment to excellence that you just don't find at a public golf course. At Crosswinds, you're treated special, like a member of a private club. The facilities are outstanding, but it's the people that make the difference at Crosswinds. Check it out for yourself, the way I'm checking out this microphone. Go to crosswindsgolf.com and book your tee time online now. You're going to love it. Before you know it, Crosswinds will be your club of choice. And don't forget, tell them Hebsy sent you. I'm going in 2 days. It's always sunny at Crosswinds, by the way. Mike, can we start the podcast now? Live from New Toronto, it's Hebsy on Sports, episode number 249. Hi there, sports fans. Mark Hebsher along with Toronto Mike in the backyard studio for the first time in
a year,
408 days. And all set to bring you the best sports podcast in the world, whether you're a Toronto sports fan or not. No lying, no bullshit, no sucking up to corporate masters or teams that expect you to cover them like you're a member of the PR department. No knee pads necessary here. You're going to get honest, straightforward, no nonsense sports commentary. I don't know what Mike's going to give you, but that's what I promise you. Somebody was telling me about Bob McCowan's been tweeting some stuff. New news? Wow. Another tragically hip wine? Don't tell me. What's this one going to be called? Road apples? It's a cider? All right.
That's coming.
That was pretty inside stuff. All right. Hey, listen, we've got the story of the blazing hot Blue Jays, who a week ago we were like, they got like an 8% chance. Like, who would bet on the Blue? What has gotten into this team? What have they been smoking, and can I get some of it? Or is it the jacket? Or is it the fact that Springer, they don't need Springer. They don't need to be worried about Springer. They got Alejandro Kirk. I love this team. They got Vladdy Guerrero, too, who remarkably is still in the hunt for the Triple Crown. What a story. Speaking of stories, another Montreal-born youngster, not Vladdy, happens to be a giant killer. Leylah Annie Fernandez made Canada proud yesterday, as she has all week, at the U.S. Open of tennis. She's going to the finals against another Canadian-born teenager after a thrilling semifinal win before a partisan crowd. She loves New York, and they love her. And another Canadian tries to duplicate her feat today. F.A.A. all the way! Woo. The 17-week National Football League season kicked off last night, and what a dandy between Brady and the Bucks and Prescott of the Cowboys. A barn burner if there ever was one. I just wanted to use the expression barn burner. I may use seat squirmer later. We're going to talk soccer, golf, sports, media news, and more. But first, it's nice to be out of the little Italy conclave there, enclave.
I already feel an energy shift.
And here in the backyard studio. This is ever nice. And you know what's a beautiful thing is, Mike, I can see you, so I don't have to be looking at a monitor to see if you're paying attention or you're about to say something or, speaking to someone in the same room or vicinity is a wonderful thing.
And even like hearing you over the music and little things like that are so much more elegant and easy when you're in person on the mic.
Like
you like that word? I got to say, what a pleasure to see you. I did see you briefly 2 weeks ago at TMLX 8, but like you said, I had a million balls in the air and we couldn't spend any quality time together. So it's been almost a year, I would say, since your last visit to the backyard, and we did a Hebsy on Sports in person. Love it. Glad you're here. There's a great crowd. I got to get, because Gene Velitis needs an Otis update, so we got to start with that. But I just got to say hi to Darren Shanahan, who chimes in from Quebec. And, of course, Brian Gerstein is here. He's a huge tennis fanatic. Right. Paul Hawkyard.
Shanny, wait a second. So Shanahan's nickname for sure is Shanny. So let's shout out to Shanny.
Although he goes by the moniker Quebec Irish Boy. That's his mom. Yeah, I know.
All right.
That's what he goes by.
Okay, Gerstein is along all the time. Okay, solid citizen there.
We have a debut. I like this. Marlon Canales is making his, he listens to the podcast typically, but today he's listening live and watching live on your YouTube channel. So everybody who listens to the podcast should know, 9:20 every Friday, go to Hebsy's YouTube channel, live from Toronto with Hebsy, and you can watch all this excitement live. And
And
now
there's other stuff on the YouTube channel too. Like I got old Hebsy awards posted and some like other stuff. I got the interview that I did with George Bell a couple of years ago when he talked about charging the mound with Bruce Keeson.
Right.
And that was in the 85 pennant race. And that was in September, I think in September of 85. It might have been earlier that year. But anyway, September of 85 was the most exciting. The Jays were hanging on to this lead that they had all season. Hanging on, down to like 1 game, 2 games. It was on every frickin' night. And they went into Yankee Stadium right around this time and beat the shit out of the Yankees. Okay.
Yes.
And it was unbelievable. It was thrilling. They're throwing at George Bell. They're throwing at Lloyd Mosby.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They're throwing at Alfredo Griffin. And so I see Bell and I say, do you want to talk about that? And he never discussed it. And he sat down. I think a great interview that's on there. And he's just talking about Keeson and just how the team was, we're not going to take this shit anymore from these because all these teams were trying to intimidate these young Blue Jays. And I'm looking at this team this year and I'm going, and it's inevitable to make a comparison, but I'm like, man, I remember, Vladdy is George Bell. Jesse Barfield, man, he's, that's Bo Bichette or I see the, where these guys are and this team is younger. Mm-hmm. That team had been, maybe it had 3 years together or so. But anyway, the parallels are very exciting because once a team believes in itself, a young team believes in itself, seriously, it's so exciting to watch. And it's not them that's making the mistakes now that they were making earlier this year. It's the other teams. And that's when you notice it. You say, they're intimidated by the Blue Jays. They're intimidated. They're making mistakes. They're throwing to the wrong base, right? This was always a problem with the Jays. They're running themselves out of innings they're making mistakes. They can't play defense, all this shit, right? Meanwhile, we're not taking into consideration the fact that all these other teams are scared shitless of the Blue Jays.
It was only 2 weeks ago when you were calling for Montoyo's head.
I was. And I wasn't the only one.
Right.
I still don't think he's the manager for this team. There's still question. But let's face it. I mean, when you're winning, come on, he could make a bunch of mistakes. And what am I going to do? I'm going to start picking out I'm writing down the moves he made that I disagreed with. No, not at all. It's just, it's 162 game season.
So when you were crafting this episode in your head, probably on your way to the studio here,
is that
in the
what
backyard,
you think I do?
I think that's how you kind of see all the parts and you shape them together. How do you where do you start? Are you starting with the Jays? Because I thought you were going to start with tennis, but then I thought you might throw us a wild card, start with Otis, kind of get into the tennis, and then get into the Jays. There's a multiple A stories here.
Well, no, but listen, the Blue Jays has been part of my life since 1977. Leylah Annie Fernandez has been part of my life since 7 days ago, right? Otis was part of my life for 7 months or whatever the heck it was, and he's been an indoor cat now, by the way. Here's the segue. Mm-hmm. And almost every day I see him now because the neighbors walk him on a leash with a harness, which I had gotten for him because for some reason I thought, this cat, as an outdoor cat, would like to be able to go outdoors. And I, for one, wouldn't mind walking the cat if he was amenable. And he was just walking along the sidewalk, not run away or pull away like a dog, right? Mind you, if a dog came along, right, he would get, he'd freak out a bit and I'd have to pick him up. So anyway, now the neighbors who now own Otis, they own him. Okay. There is no more Otis.
Did you sign over the deed?
Nah, I didn't sign over. But anyway, and I know he's loved and that's the most important thing, right? And I see, I'm sitting on the porch having a coffee and I see, wait, that's Otis. And sure enough, they walk him every day, maybe twice a day, maybe 3 times a day for all I know. I don't ask,
right.
But he's out there, right? And
just for exercise, because he probably has a kitty litter in the home, right? Like he's not.
I don't know.
He just goes for exercise.
I didn't ask. Okay. All I know is he likes, some people have dill, growing in their yard, and he's sniffing for dill, and there's mice around, and he's
right.
Sniffing, and there's somebody's got catnip growing or some form of catnip, and he likes it out there. It's pretty cool. So I've seen him quite often, and how's it going? And he's still the same. He walks right by you like you don't exist. He was like that with everybody. He's like an autistic cat that way.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't show any emotions or anything like that. Not that cats do. So this morning, as I'm pulling to get here, because I borrowed my girlfriend's car to come here, because I've got some lasagna to pick up later and some beer you've got for me and other stuff like that,
sure.
Which I can't. If I biked over, I would not be able to.
You gotta fit it all in that backpack.
That would be difficult. So as I'm pulling out, no kidding, who runs in front of the car? It's Otis, not on the leash, and Ashley is like 10 feet behind him, and I'm sort of like, hey, like I thought he's fine, but it's early in the morning, and she's thinking, we'll just let him go without the leash. He's not going to run away.
You avert a disaster. This would be the tragic end of the tail. Hebsy runs over Otis.
No,
Okay,
there's
good,
no way.
good.
No, you're always watching. It wasn't quite like
By
that.
the way.
I wasn't running a line. I was sitting parked, and he like, he zipped in front. So, hey, Otis! I rolled the window down, literally. And, hey, Otis! Didn't even look at me. Didn't even look. Kept on going. That's the Otis update. There you go. He's fine. He's happy.
Okay, good. Now,
okay,
I think you start Jays, but just I want to say hello.
What do you mean you think on your show? What would you have started with? Okay,
it's
and remember, I didn't watch
how did you watch?
Here's the background.
Yeah.
I'll give you the background. This is something you could never do on a sportscast. Yeah. Now time for sports. Here's Mark Epster. Good morning, everyone. Last night in the national, right? So this way, last night I planned it out. It's like, okay, we got the Jays going on at the same time as Leylah, 7:00.
Yes.
Right. We got the NFL game, which is like, third choice by a long shot. But still, I like Brady and I like football. And,
sure.
I like football and I like Brady. And so how am I going to watch this? And more importantly, what does Serena want to watch? Right. So I'm thinking she wants to watch the tennis more for Leylah Fernandez. No, she's been invested in the Jays for as long as I've been invested almost in the Jays. She was an Expo fan before that, a huge Expo fan.
Okay.
And so it's baseball, and we follow this. This is every night. Remember, just baseball. It's every day, every day, every day. Leylah Fernandez is she Thursday? When was she? Like Monday? Did we? And so it's the U.S. Open. That's great, but it's the Jays. We don't miss the Jays. So we got the Jays.
Okay, Jays got.
We don't miss the Jays. We don't miss the Jays. And plus, not only the independent race, but they got a chance to sweep the Yankees. So it's even more important. Because you really want to kick the shit out of the Yankees. Because you really feel good when you see this prick Aroldis Chapman, this wife beater out there. What did he get? A slap on the wrist or something like that? And you love to see Vladdy Guerrero take him deep. And I'm thinking, as Vladdy's hitting the ball out, and he's, I believe, the father of 2 daughters.
Yes.
He's going, you motherfucker, Cuban piece of shit, and banging the ball over the wall at the highest exit velo of a ball ever hit against Aroldis Chapman.
Wow.
Like, apparently, okay? Like, no one's ever hit one harder. And I'm going, anyway. That's
okay. So in this
that's my
household,
deep
we'll get
dislike for the Yankees.
So you had the Jays game priority 1
on the big screen. That's the way you do it. The biggest screen, okay?
Right.
Biggest event.
Okay, because here it was all Leylah Fernandez, like the entire.
I get it.
I
get it. Believe me, as you know, both sports are excellent at being able to enough time in between where you can focus over. It's like, okay, he's not going to pitch yet. He's still pawing the rubber. I can watch this point. Okay, that point's going on. There's a crack of the bat on that screen. And as you know, it's happened many, many times. And it always will. It's beautiful. It's fun, but it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking because as the Jays are taking the lead, you're going, Leylah Annie Fernandez is getting broken. You go, oh, no. Like, it's just a roller coaster of emotions.
What a night.
Here's the deal. Where do we start today?
Well, first, we start by just saying hello to Peter DeMarco because he's also making his debut, catching the live show. I like to acknowledge people when they make their debut. So let me know in the comments if it's your first time. And so many people showing up for this.
No, you don't ask someone if it's their first time. That's a very personal question. It is.
Well,
do you not think that would be
with me? It's not personal, right? Because it's like their first time with us.
Do you not think that would be this was my concept for a radio show years ago.
Yeah.
It was a feature. I've done several of them, but it was a feature. It's supposed to be like a 1.5-minute kind of radio bite-sized feature. And it was called The First Time. It was a name. That was the title of it.
Okay.
And what the idea was, and I got all kinds, probably hundreds of them, is I asked every former NHL and current NHL player, NFL player, athlete, whatever, if they remember the first time that first NHL goal, first whatever it was. That was the basis of it.
Oh, I dig it.
Because everyone remembers with such clarity. Every hockey player remembers exactly that first goal.
Sure.
Exactly. They'll never forget that moment. So I wanted to capture these moments of players, of athletes, and entertainers too, for that matter, before they were famous, when they were just regular folk trying to make it, that kind of thing, right? Like with the Tragically Hip. I mean, Gord Sinclair said to me, so I said, when did you realize like you first made it? He goes, we heard our song on the radio in Kingston. We drove to the top of the hill to listen to the station in New York State or something like that. They played it, like that kind of thing. It was beautiful because it was innocent. So they all remembered that. So it was called The First Time. So when you ask someone about the first time, it's a double entendre, right? First time, that's a personal question.
Yeah, it sounds like it was like something for Mojo Radio or something.
Yeah,
I'm just interested that Junk Food Junction and Stephanie Wilkinson are having their first experience in last year. I'm surprised Stephanie, diehard Blue Jays fan, owner of the Ontario Blue Jays. I'm surprised this is her live stream debut, but she does listen to the podcast. So go Jays, go.
I've been saying it since the first day, Mike. Okay. I've told you the story. I've told the listeners the story of how deeply baseball is deeply embedded in me. My parents, 69 years married, 69 years ago, were in New York, 52. In 1952, they went to the Polo Grounds Yankee Stadium in Ebbets Field on their honeymoon. Okay. This was a purpose. This is how much they had only heard of these places and maybe seen them on television. Television had only existed for a few years. They were wide-eyed 20-year-old kids. Yankees, the original Yankee Stadium, too, like 75,000 seats.
Wow.
Okay? Unbelievable. Anyway.
And congratulations. So 69 years married, that's unbelievable, Mark.
And my dad, the biggest Blue Jay fan, does not miss a game, okay? Could watch, what's he going to do in the off season? I said, watch replays of games. He goes, that's a good idea. Okay, so here's the deal, folks. So we're starting with the Jays, and if you don't like it, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. Would they sweep the Yankees was the thing, was just the idea that you could sweep Oakland and the Yankees. The idea that a week ago I said, and we've got the tape, I said the Jays have to start by sweeping Oakland.
Yes.
And then let's see what happens with the Yankees.
And a big comeback in that first game, that first win against Oakland. Big comeback, and that really set the tone. Amazing.
Amazing. And remember we were bitching about, because the night before they had lost the game on an inside the park home run or whatever you wanted to call it against Detroit. It was like, ugh. Anyway, so who's the best team in baseball right now? The Blue Jays. The best. Okay? Yeah, you can talk about the San Francisco Giants and fuck them. Seriously. Nobody here. This is what it comes down to, folks. Nobody wants to play the Blue Jays. They just don't. Okay? They're all shaking in their boots. You don't think the Orioles right now, and the Jays have 4 against the Orioles, by the way. There's a doubleheader on Saturday. 4. You don't think the Orioles are like, oh, fuck, the season can't end fast enough. And they're on their way to losing 100 games for the umpteenth. I don't know. Now they got the Blue Jays for 4. Jeez, and the Jays are charging. It's like down the stretch they come. Secretariat. The Yankees are dead. The Red Sox are dead. Even if they manage to squeeze one of them, hang on to a wild card spot, they're not going anywhere. Okay? They're not going anywhere. They're done. Time for the new kids in town. And this is it. Who has the best starting pitching in baseball? Okay? I would say the Jays are right there. Right? Dodgers are pretty good. Giants are pretty good too. But still. Great starting pitching. There isn't one game where you go, oh, shit. So Wilmer Font is starting, an opener. No. And even back in the days of, was it Brandon Morrow and Ricky Romero and Brett Cecil and who was the other guy? Sean Markham. And remember when the young pitching staffs? And
yep.
No, not like these guys. Even though it's only for this year, you're not going to get Robbie Ray back so fast. This is a heck of a pitching staff, and this is where it all comes down to. You got a good starting pitcher out there. Your team is out there confident. They know that if they fall behind, the pitcher is going to keep them in there. Only a couple of runs, 3 runs from Manoah, okay, on a 3-run homer. Only 2 runs from Berrios, a 2-run homer. Okay, we're good because we can score 6, 8, 10, 12. They outscore the Yankees 25-8 in 4 games. 25-8, folks. Think about it. They beat them 8-0 Monday, 5-1 on Tuesday, 6-3 on Wednesday, and 6-4 last night, and only 6-4 because Nate Pearson gave up 2 bombs in the 9th inning. They want to try him out. Okay? Not such a good idea. But I'm okay because they're winning. And it's the way they're winning too. They can win. They can go to the lead and go all the way. They can come from behind. They've now got a bullpen, right? As long as they don't wear out Jordan Romano, who looks like a pretty good stopper at this particular point, closer, they look great. They were 9 games back of the Yankees 2 weeks ago today. 9 back. They're a half game back.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
We were done. We were 5% chance of making the playoffs, whatever it was in end of August. It's now like 51% or something. Yeah. By the way, KM points out on your YouTube channel that the Yankees never had the lead in those 4 games.
Damn it. You just took my next one.
I should read this guy.
Oh my God.
We're giving it to KM here.
KM, you've been listening to you've been reading the same stats. You've been up on things like I have. Back in the day, Mike, when I had a radio show on terrestrial radio, I knew more than like 99% of the listeners.
Right.
Because I researched, and that was my job. Now, 99% of the listeners know more than me. They just go deeper into the stats or, whatever.
Sure.
And that is a great stat. It's true. The Yankees never held the lead. There was never hope for the Yankees. Once they fell behind, it was all over. It's all over. So here's the deal, folks. I'm not ready to say that the Jays are going to win all 4 against Baltimore, but I'm going to say they're going to win 3 of 4 against Baltimore. Right? Just because having a 12-game winning streak, it was just a 13-game winning streak would be absurd. I'm okay with 11, and then you can lose again, and then start another 11 games.
And that's the Blue Jay way. We often will go to 11 and then stop.
That's right. It goes to 11. So Toronto's at 77 and 62.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah, that was a very good one. It goes to 11. So Toronto's at 77 and 62. Now, this is something you have to pay attention to because teams have played different numbers of games. And Toronto has games in hand. You have to look at the all-important loss column. Loss column. They're even with the Yankees in Boston in the loss column. Even, and they have games in hand on both teams. Okay? Toronto's more likely to win. The Yankees and Boston are more likely to lose. That's just the way it's going to be. All right? No matter who the Jays are playing. Oh, I know. They've got 6 games against Tampa. Oh, my goodness. Yours truly just bought tickets to the final game against the Yankees, September the 30th. Got tickets ready to go for that one because you know that's going to be a big game because after that game, the last 3 of the season are at home against Baltimore. And they might be in a position where they have to win all 3. Right? Or they might be in a position where they can rest and set up for the 1-game playoff with Robbie Ray as your starter and go, we got 3 games against Baltimore. We only need to win one of them, and we can have it all set. That's where Charlie Montoyo is going to earn his money this year. Because last year, don't even get me started. The fucking playoffs, fucking Matt Shoemaker, he could do it. He could screw it up. He could lead off Corey Dickerson instead of Bo Bichette, right? God. Don't even get me started. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing, Mike. If the Jays don't make, and I don't even know what the odds are now, and it doesn't matter. Now that I think of it, it doesn't matter. It was a stupid stat to throw out even. It was just sort of one of those, so as the team is losing, you're going, so what do you think their chances are? You know, most people are going to go, well, not very good at all. They're playing like shit. So forget that. I don't even know what the odds are. It wouldn't matter to me at all. I would bet with reasonable odds that the Jays will make the postseason. And if they don't, you've got a hell of a story because how do you stop this freight train? Right? Like I said before, Springer's down. It's like he's hardly missed. Alejandro Kirk is God. I love watching this guy hit. Seriously. I love watching this guy hit. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This guy is a potential batting champion. He hits all over the field. He hits the ball where it's pitched. He's got a good eye. He's like 18 months out of A-ball. It's a wonderful story. So they're going to make the playoffs. And even without George Springer, they're as dangerous as any team in baseball. Bo Bichette got things going last night. Homer in the first inning. Love those first inning home runs. What's the equivalent in hockey, right? Goal in the first 2 minutes, and then another one. That's the Jays, man. Oh, the other team comes back and ties it. But you know what? Now you've blown your load because the Jays are just going to come back and pound you. And they prove that, okay? Any other team, any other Jay incarnation of the Jays, are up 3-0, and now the Brett Garner hits a 3-run home run. You're not coming back. Yankees are coming back all the way. I'm sure all the Yankee fans were like, here we come. Here come the Yankees. Here we go. We got Judge. We got Stanton. We got Siri Sanchez. We got... What a boring team are the Yankees. And booting it around as if the baseball is a wet bar of soap. Pathetic. The Yankees, pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. So Bo gets us on the board. And then in the 7th, after they tie it 2-2, he singles home the tie-breaking run. And then Vladdy, 42nd bomb of the year, 100th RBI of the year.
Wow.
And then suddenly it's, wait a minute. Did we say that he has no chance of making the Triple Crown? Didn't Hebsy say that, we'll be happy if he hits 295?
Yep.
Well, guess what? Vladdy leads the American League in batting average at 319. He leads Michael Brantley by 4 points. Michael Brantley, wasn't he supposed to be a Blue Jay? Didn't some of the big machers on social media say that Michael Brantley, the deal was done?
Hazel
You don't hear that. You don't hear that, though. It wasn't just Hazel.
Okay.
It was everyone else that carried that used her as the source and said, oh, this is the way it is. Yep. They're getting. Can you imagine if we had Michael Brantley in the lineup?
Wow. Not
that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is having any problems. So Michael Brantley's 4 points back. 4 points is a lot at this time of year. That's a lot. That's a when you've got 650 plate appearances already, that's a lot. So go get him, Vladdy, even though he was only 1 for 5 last night. The batting average went down. He's got 42 home runs now. 42, one back of Ohtani, who will not hit another home run this year. He's tired. He pitches, he hits, he homers. He's done. They're going to pitch away from him the rest. Vladdy's going to win that. And RBI, he's got 100. 100. He's 4 back of Abreu, of Chicago, and Sal Perez.
Wow.
Sal Perez is a beast for KC. I'm telling you, this guy might go down. Seriously, he might go down as one of the great catchers of all time. He's 6'6", 275. He's huge. Throws out, nobody runs on the guy, and he hits bombs. By the way, Vladdy, the third youngest player in baseball history to hit 40 home runs and 100 RBI. Those are significant numbers, 40 and 100. Third youngest. The other two, one's a Hall of Famer, one ain't.
Okay, I actually cheated by looking at your notes, and I disagree with your answer. Is that possible? I feel the answer is.
What do you mean you feel the answer?
Joe. I think the answer is Joe DiMaggio and Alex Rodriguez.
No.
Okay, then you know what my stat is? I think mine is batting 300, getting 40 home runs, and having 100 RBIs at that. Like 22 or younger. I think that's where A-Rod enters.
But just a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is it possible? I didn't look all the way down the list that A-Rod is like next on the list.
Very
glad
possible.
He just went in under A-Rod.
It's
like he's
possible.
now younger than A-Rod was.
Where Juan Gonzalez did not hit 300. That was the difference. I think.
Correct. That's right. And that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame either.
So we're both correct. Right.
Right. Yeah. And let's not forget about the pitching. You know, a lot of times, how do I say this? Okay, without being rude and being a snob. You know, I know baseball, blah, blah, blah. But there's something about starting pitching when all the starting pitchers are competitive within each other. They raise the level of a performance of the other guys. I know this for a fact. I saw it with the Blue Jays rosters when they started, you know, with Steve and Key when he came along and when Cerruti became part of very competitive, the starters. The Atlanta Braves, Smoltz and Maddox and Glavine. I mean, these guys were competitive. They played golf together. They'd kill each other, right, to win. And once you've got a starting staff like the Jays have, so, who's the best? All right, who's the best? It's like, okay, which one of you guys is the fastest runner? Right. Ego takes over, and it could be a beautiful thing, right? And Alek Manoah is part of this. He didn't join a starting staff of a bunch of nobodies. He's got that's Robbie Ray over there. That's Ryu. That's a Cy Young winner. He's going to stick as close to Ryu as possible. By osmosis, he's going to be a better pitcher by being around these guys. Now you add Berrios to that. And Matz, I'm not going to say Matz is a veteran pitcher, but there's something about confidence and there's something about competition within your own team. And you don't think the hitters are doing that? I want to wear the jacket. I want to wear the home run jacket. And this is the team you've got. They're all coming together, okay? They all want to be a part of this. Might be a one-year fling. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of. It's beautiful.
Poor Leylah, like she picked the wrong time to make a Grand Slam final because we spent the first.
Now here's what I'm thinking. I'm watching the game the other night, and I'm going, okay, so here's the deal. Arash Madani and Shai Davidi are in New York. Okay, they're not broadcasting the game from there. They're doing inserts, cut-ins, recording some stuff, you know, pre-game stuff, post-game stuff. The announcers are, you know, Buck, and I know I go through this, and people are going, Hebsy, you're always whining about this, but Buck's in Florida, Pat's in Ohio. Dan, when he does the games, will be in Toronto doing them at the ballpark. Ben Wagner, the radio announcer, is in Toronto watching it off monitors. And it's just weird. And then I thought, wait a second, I'll bet you Sportsnet, those cheap bastards, said to Arash, we'll let you go, but you got to go cover the U.S. Open. You got to go over to Flushing Meadows too. Oh, sure. Leylah's involved. Felix is involved. Okay. You know, we're gonna make sure you work when you're there. And so I'm thinking, you know, it probably isn't the case, but it's sort of like, it's just odd that you can cover at a distance. All right, there's the fighter pilots going over that you can cover at a distance, you know, certain parts of the game. And yet you've got, you know, my expression, boots on the ground. You got two guys that are there. Like, if that's the case, why couldn't you have two people there that were calling the game? Like, what's the stretch?
Of course you can.
What's the stretch? I mean, you know, it's like,
I think your point's valid that we're underserved. Like, we have this exciting young team, and we aren't getting the best coverage because we're not sending our play-by-play and analysts to the ball games.
I also understand, because I read, that some ballparks have not opened up the visiting radio facilities for everybody because there's still some teams that are doing what the Jays are doing. Okay. So it's not like the Jays are the only team doing this, but they started this by not having a dedicated radio broadcast at the beginning of the year. So we're still pissed about that. Right?
Right. Right. Okay. So I actually have more questions about sports media, but I'm going to hold on to them because I feel like a major happening occurred last night that we really should dive into here. The Leylah Fernandez story is massive. I think that's a big story.
It is, but I'm not done with baseball.
Okay,
I'm still pumped about baseball.
Well, it's Hebsy on sports.
You know, you think people are listening to this going, Leylah Fernandez? What the hell happened? Tell us already. We don't care anymore. Let me finish with my baseball. Don't do this to me, okay?
Keep going with baseball.
Nate Pearson came in last night. Okay, the Jays were leading by 4. The night before, they were leading by 3 in the 9th. He's up in the bullpen. So is Romano. I'm going, save Romano. Save him when you need him. But no, a 3-run lead is a safe situation. Okay, it's a safe situation. Now, had they brought in Pearson last night, think about this, in a safe situation, and he gave up 2 bombs like he did last night, he still would have gotten the save. He would have gotten the save, Mike, because it's a stupid rule.
Yeah.
He would have come in with a 3-run lead. He would have given up 2 home runs, right? And he would have saved the game because the Jays still would have won, even though it was only by 1 run. It's a dumb rule. So last night he comes in, the Jays are leading by 4. No problem, right? And he gives up a couple of bombs. He can throw 101. But when the ball, okay, is down the pipe and the bat makes contact, it's leaving it like 127 miles an hour or something like that. It's crazy.
Right.
He's still a project. You can't use him anymore. Stop it. Just stop it. Use a veteran. You got plenty of arms. Give Julian Merriweather a try. He's off the 160-day DL or whatever. But please don't use Nate Pearson unless absolutely necessary, or unless you're in a ball game where you need some innings and you're getting your ass kicked, and even with your great offense, you're not coming back. Please. Oh, and wasn't it great seeing the wife beater or Aroldis Chapman get his ass kicked by Vladdy? Just, oh God, that was wonderful. I couldn't help but tweet something because I was just so happy. Couldn't happen to a bigger prick. Tonight, the man with the tight pants. Oops. How did I go from that to, and a serious contender for the Cy Young. This guy, Robbie Ray, is fabulous. Give him what he wants. He's taken to the mound tonight in Baltimore to take on right-hander Chris Ellis. First of 4 against the Orioles. And Mike, I've already got my tickets for that final home game.
So, okay, so you were hesitant to be in a big crowd outdoors.
I was, and it's not a big crowd, though. They're still not going to be able to have more than 15,000.
Okay.
And I saw the seating arrangement. There's nobody sitting next to us on either side, and there's people in front of us, but it's staggered. Oh, yeah.
Well, welcome to the club. I've been to Blue Rodeo. I've been to BMO Field to see TFC.
I was at BMO Field the other night, so stop.
Okay, yeah, you're okay. Well,
stop
no,
it, okay? Now you're bragging.
No, I'm just
I was
speaking to the comfort level outdoors in this pandemic, and we're fully vaxxed, of course.
Right. Did you? Is there any way that the sun it can be?
Is it in your eyes?
No, it's okay.
Okay, I can do a thing. I think,
tough.
but okay,
wait,
hang in there.
Wait.
That umbrella exists because you complained last year. I think that people were sitting in the sun, and then I got the umbrella. So,
all right.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's a beautiful day. No, you don't apologize for a beautiful sunny day in the backyard.
We'll
please.
switch seats. But you have to man the keys.
Stop
here.
it. Just stop it. All right. So I got my tickets for the Yankee game. Very exciting.
Cool.
Way more than I would have spent for anything else. But hey, okay, you're going to go. You want to get good seats. Anyway. And it could prove to be a big one, the final game against the Yankees, because the Jays finished the regular season with 3 against the Yanks, then 3 against Baltimore. And then that's it.
Well, it's a big gamble because it could also be nothing. Like you're either.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think with the four games left, okay, the way things look now, I would be very surprised if that game was meaningless.
Okay.
Very surprised. Meanwhile, there are other teams who still have a good shot at the playoffs. And let's not forget, the Mariners and A's are both 1.5 back of the Jays and 2 back of the final wild card. So there, you can't discount them. And in the National League, you got the Dodgers and Padres holding the 2 wild cards. But Cincinnati, with Joey Votto, future Hall of Famer, come on!
Yes.
Just a game back, and the Cardinals 3 back, with Philly hanging out at 3.5 back, still in contention. Giants leading the West by 2.5. The Brewers, with Rowdy Tellez, lead the Central by 12 games over the Reds. 12 games. And the Braves lead the Phillies by 3.5. Some great September baseball. It's only going to get better.
Gotta love it.
Remind me if we've got time to talk about the Hall of Fame speeches that I watched the other day for baseball.
Okay, well, we'll tie that in because I do want to talk sports media stuff as a precursor to what you're doing after this episode. So.
Now, wait a sec. Let me take a sip of coffee here. This is another real treat
moment.
Because the cafe around the corner from your place, which has the greatest. I picked up lunch already. My lunch anyway. I don't know if we were serving, but yeah, and the coffee is fantastic. So it's been like 1.5 years or more since I've.
Oh no, my friend! Enjoy the coffee there. Again, glad you're here.
God,
and it is. I know the
good.
sun might be in your eyes, but it is beautiful, clear skies. Like sometimes you got that threat of
more than happy to
storm,
be in the sun.
but not today. This is beautiful.
More than happy to be in the sun.
And we're talking about
in layers too here, Mike. So I can
you can peel them off. We're here. Think about this. We're here in like almost mid-September talking about meaningful Blue Jay baseball.
I know, it's great.
There's nothing better.
But let's stop it already with the baseball, okay? Can we not get to, you know who? Are Canadians not the best? We have the world's fastest man, Andre DeGrasse. We have the world's greatest athlete, Olympic gold medal decathlete, Damian Warner. We have the world's greatest female soccer team. We have the world's greatest female hockey team. And this week, one of the world's great baseball players, Larry Walker, and a couple of soon-to-be great tennis players, Felix Auger-Aliassime and the incredible Leylah Annie Fernandez. Should I get rid of the Annie part? It's Leylah Fernandez.
She's dropped it, I think.
Okay.
I think we're going by Leylah
But Annie just sounds so great, eh? And let's face it, I mean, she just turned 19. She looks 13 or 14.
I was saying that. She looks
13 or 14.
Yeah, 14, 15, but she looks very young for a 19-year-old.
What a story this is. I mean,
she's my son's age. Story. What has my son done?
She's such a great story. And I mean, I'm never mind from an immigrant family. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. What a tennis player.
Yes.
What a tiger. The unseeded Fernandez was down 4-1 in the first set. And you're going, oh, she's, just turned 19. She's going against the number 2 seed, number 2 in the world, Irina Sabalenka. I mean, it's okay. She got this far, good for her. Right? You're not thinking she's going to storm back, knock this number 2 seed Sabalenka on her can, okay? Win a tiebreaker against this girl, and take the first set, and then you're telling me now you're going to go, oh, come on, this is a Cinderella story. It can't happen. And then of course, she loses the second set, so you're like, okay, so she'll go 3 sets. It'll be a great thing. She's not going to beat this woman, blah blah. Meanwhile, she keeps her cool.
Yeah,
she's like cooler than the other side of the pillow. Yeah. Okay, this other girl is like, whoa, falling apart. She's falling apart, hitting herself in the head, slapping herself.
Yeah.
And when they showed the replays in tennis, they showed in super slow motion.
She was beating herself up.
So it looks like she's physically, punching herself. You see the jowl kind of blah, 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 like that. Right. And you're like, oh, man. And it's smashing her racket, but not as soon as she screwed up the shot. Like, not like, oh, I fucked up the shot and then smash on the court.
Yeah.
No. She goes and she sits down and she grabs a towel. And then she grabs the racket and just hammers it and smashes it.
Right.
And then that's it for a while. And then you look over and you look at this young lady, this poised.
Oh, very poised.
Young lady. And she's like meditating. Beautiful. Love it. And then we find out afterwards that like Steve Nash is like a huge influence on her, that when she was down and behind and had to work harder and harder, that her coaches and her friends and everyone would say, look at Steve Nash. Look what he accomplished. Look what they said about him. Okay. You know what I mean? First round pick at Santa Clara, never going to make Santa Clara College. Oh, he's not going to make it in Dallas, blah, blah. Everything about him. The guy's a freaking Hall of Famer. Come on, give me a freaking break, okay?
Absolutely.
So he's in her box. I mean, it's Captain Canada. Remember the 2000 Olympics and the Canadian men's basketball team and Steve Nash, and you're going, this is fucking great. Dude, that was fantastic. Fantastic. Anyway, she ends up winning 7-6, 4-6, 6-4. And that break of serve, okay, in the 9th game of the final set. So Sabalenka's serving at 4-5 here. And everyone's thinking she's going to hold serve because she's just got a monster serve. She's like powerful.
Oh, much bigger and
stronger. And oh my God, this man ended up going to a tiebreaker. I can't take it anymore. And Sabalenka just shits the bed.
Yep.
And we win. She wins, but we win.
Right.
We all win because we've been riding the coattails of Canadians who are doing well, right? And Corey Connors was going and Mackenzie Hughes was going in golf. It doesn't matter. We're just so proud because they all recognize that they're Canadians and they all recognize that they're doing this for Canada. They all acknowledge it. Larry Walker in his Hall of Fame speech, I'm from Canada. Like, this is great stuff. I mean, for years it was like, oh, Canada, what do you guys have? Comedians and hockey players. And if it wasn't for idiots like John McEnroe who keep it, and what's her name? Maple syrup. If you call the maple syrup, shut up. Right? We know who we are. Come on. We're great. We're fucking great. We're Canadians. And when it comes to tennis, what other nation, and think of reaching certain heights, okay? Like getting to the semifinal or the final of a major. Mm-hmm. So you think of Jeannie Bouchard and Milos Raonic, how many years ago? Like 7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe, right? And now, Bianca Andreescu winning the U.S. Open, Dennis and Felix moving up the ladder as Federer and Rafa Nadal are winding down. It's an exciting time to be a Canadian sports fan and so much fun following a young lady who really wasn't on anybody's radar this year. It was all about Bianca. What's with Bianca? Now, on this show, I had been mentioning all along, Mike, whenever there was a tennis match, how Leylah Fernandez was doing, right? She's a Canadian.
Oh, yeah, I've heard her
we
name
would always, we knew.
dozens of times on Hebsy on
But
Sport.
still, come on.
Yeah.
And here's the best part of it,
Mhm.
all right? She's off to the U.S. final, and she's going to play another teenager, a teenager born in Toronto,
Wild.
Emma Raducanu, who
Wild.
won last night over the 17th seed Maria Sakkari, the woman who knocked off Andreescu in the round of 16. And it wasn't even close. Raducanu wins 6-1, 6-4. So the women's final, Saturday, 4 o'clock, 18-year-old Emma Raducanu of Great Britain.
Qualifier, right?
Qualifier.
That's never happened before.
Never! Against an unseeded, although she was in the main draw, but an unseeded still, just turned 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, listen, Brian
This
says
is
it was
fantastic.
probably the odds of that final, if you were to bet who would make the final and pick those two young women, 100,000 to 1.
No, it wasn't that much. No,
Because there's never been a
it wasn't. No,
qualifier, and
100,000 to 1.
Leylah's
No, 100,000 to 1 is ridiculous. That's
okay,
ridiculous.
well, I don't know if he's
No,
gone
it was
to Vegas with
it was more like about 500 to 1.
Okay,
That's pretty big odds.
I have no idea.
And
But,
500 to 1 is a
unbelievable
pretty big odds.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, all that had to happen was people had to lose certain matches. But anyway, whatever it was, I don't think anybody would have put down a shekel on that final. Okay. And it was just a wonderful feeling, and the post match, and her family. And by the way, the guy that was cheering, the guy with the hat, that's not her father.
No, that's not her father.
It's not her father.
He's not there.
Her father did a very emotional interview with, I'm trying to think on who it was on TSN. It was just a quickie little from his home.
Right.
Man, the guy was in tears because he was asked, and this is the beauty, he was asked, I think it was Corey Warren did the interview, but anyway, he was asked, and I apologize now if it wasn't, what does this mean to you as a Canadian, as someone who immigrated to Canada? And man, the guy, he got choked up, the father. And I was just like, it's a wonderful story. Like only in Canada could you have this opportunity. So he's so thankful and so respectful of Canada and just this whole country, this love affair we have with each other now. It's great.
Right.
Okay. Speaking of which, Felix Auger-Aliassime, love this guy. Same thing ever since, I don't know, how old was he? We've been talking about him. He's hoping to reach the finals on the men's side. He's got a big obstacle in the semifinals today. Daniil Medvedev, this afternoon going on. And I can tell you right now, the crowd's going to be 99.9% in favor of Felix.
Love it. Because
Medvedev's a jerk. And he's already fucked around with that crowd many times before at the U.S. Open. Come on, you guys. The reason I won, you guys, because of you booing me, you guys. Come on, you. Dickwad. So I would love to see Felix take this guy out.
He's like a heel in the WWF.
A heel. Exactly. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Felix is the number 12 seed in this tournament. And already, I mean, even if he loses, but I don't like saying shit like that. I mean, he's just been tough.
Yeah.
Before our very eyes, blossoming into a world-class player.
And that's 3 p.m. today?
3 o'clock today. And Medvedev, we saw Medvedev. I watched him. We went live to the National Bank Open in Toronto. Medvedev won that tournament. I think Felix got eliminated pretty early there. But anyway, Felix is playing some fantastic tennis. I hope it's a great match. And the winner of that match is going to play the winner of the Alexander Zverev-Novak Djokovic match, which goes tonight. And by the way, Djokovic has been hitting all week with Vasek Pospisil. He apparently sought out Pospisil and wanted to hit with him because Pospisil could play any type of game, but also Djokovic could practice against him and say, I want you to play it this way against me, the way my next opponent is going to play. And Pospisil's in his box, like in the player's box. Like when you get invited to sit in the player's box, man, that's like royalty, right?
Right.
That's the player's box. That's with the family and the closest of close.
That's
Nash. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Hey, because of all these, like you mentioned, Canadians are great right now, and you mentioned Damian Warner and DeGrasse, and let's say one of these two Canadians wins the U.S. Open. Let's say Leylah Fernandez wins the U.S. Open, just hypothetically speaking. Stephen Lewis is dying to know, and I'm going to use this term that you do not like to use, and then you can remind us why. But who wins the Lou Marshall
Athlete of the Year?
Okay, well, Canada's Athlete of the Year. Who wins that? Like, is it Damian Warner? Is it DeGrasse? Is it Leylah Fernandez? Like, how many options this year for that title?
It's a super interesting. It's a super interesting topic of discussion.
Yeah,
and quite frankly, meaningless, because nobody will go back and say so-and-so won this year and so-and-so deserved to win. I mean, it's just really, it's an arbitrary thing.
It's a sports radio topic.
I think if you asked 100 people, you could get 50 different answers.
Agreed.
You could go with a team of the year, and that's the thing.
And Penny Alexiak's in the conversation too.
Yeah. But the other thing is too is that especially in an Olympic year, it's like the team of the year, athlete of the year, male athlete of the year, female athlete of the year, young athlete. Enough already with it. I mean, we know who's great.
Right.
Well, okay. Now, if it's extra bucks in their pocket, so they can say, Lou fucking Marsh. Okay. Hey, guess what? I won the big deal. When I hear the Americans say that, I said, "Oh, by the way, it was a Lou Marsh winner." Like, it sounds like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that?
Well, youngsters don't have no clue who Lou Marsh is, right?
Athlete of the year, okay? Right. Athlete of the year. You're voting for your athlete of the year. Go ahead. Pick whoever you want to. I mean, 1 year it's going to happen, and this is probably the year, I've already mentioned it, between DeGrasse and Warner, and if Leylah Fernandez or Felix ends up winning a major, or if Corey Connors were to have won the Masters, or go ahead and pick a bunch more.
Unbelievable. And then,
and Larry Walker going into the Hall of Fame this year, the famous story of Larry Walker against Villeneuve, and, Villeneuve drives a car, and Larry Walker had a spectacular scene, that whole, big deal. Right. It makes for great fodder, but it comes down to, really, when it comes down to, it's not that important. It's sports talk radio fodder.
There you go, Stephen Lewis. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Stephen. All right. Football, Tom Brady and the Bucs outlasted Dak Prescott and the Cowboys as the NFL kicked off its 17-week season. That's right, 17 weeks of the NFL season this year. Tom Brady, in an absolute seat squirmer, led the Bucs in the final minute and a half down the field, leading them like a field general, 44 years of age, masterful, directing the team beautifully and working the clock to perfection. With 2 seconds to go, Ryan Suckup, I just love that name, kicked a 36-yard field goal to give the defending Super Bowl champions a 31-29 victory at Raymond James Stadium. That was the 49th time.
I was enjoying that.
That was the 49th time in Brady's career. 49 times he's led a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter or overtime. 49 times, and it's not even the most in history. Peyton Manning and Drew Brees have more.
Wow.
But they're both retired, and Brady's got 3-4 more years. Right? Tom threw for 379 yards, 4 touchdowns, also picked off twice. But still, he's Brady. And Prescott threw for 403 yards and 3 touchdowns in the losing cause. Ladies and gentlemen, football is a passing game. Anyone who told you that controlling the ground game was, forget it, man. Throw the football. It's like the 3-pointer in basketball.
Right.
Who remembers basketball without a 3-pointer? Long bomb, boom, bam, bam. You could dunk all the time pretty much, but come on. You want the long bomb. Chicks dig the long ball. Baseball, we want to see home runs. Short porch, Yankee Stadium, go, go, go. Who hits the longest drive? Who? Bryson DeChambeau, 6,000 yards, right? The golf courses aren't long enough. It's length, baby. It's all about length.
That's what she said.
Okay? And let's face it, okay? These guys are throwing the ball 50-plus times a game. 50 times a game. Football's a passing game. Okay, it is. Meanwhile, my team, the Buffalo Bills, open up against the Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday at, what's it called now? The Ralph Rich New Era Stadium. What the fuck do they call the stadium? I don't even know. It's just a place. They're going to blow it up anyway and build a new stadium, aren't they?
I don't know.
No, seriously. I think start construction in 2082. It's not that many years. It's not that many years away, Mike. It's a little over 60 years away. They'll have a new stadium. Bills are 6.5-point favorites. I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I picked the Bills because Josh Allen is just great, and I like that team.
And no bias.
I hope they all get fully vaccinated. Yeah, I've been a Bills fan since let me think about this. 1964, I saw my first Buffalo Bills game.
Wow.
1964. Cookie Gilchrist, Albert Golden Wheels Dominion. Don't get me started.
Oh, I just have a great question I need to ask you to follow up on that Canadian Athlete of the Year discussion. And this is a wonderful little nugget there. Is Vladdy Jr. eligible for Canadian Athlete of the Year?
Sure, why not? He's born in Montreal. My question is this. If Canada went to the World Baseball Championships, would they be able to coerce Vladdy into playing for Team Canada?
Right.
As opposed to the Dominican team, which will be stacked anyway, right? I have all kinds of great players. The Dominicans, come on, Vladdy, you're born in Montreal. He's got a legit claim.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah.
If you're born here, you're automatically, aren't you?
Yeah, I think unless you
Unless you
denounce
denounce your
it or something.
citizenship, right.
Right, like I think Conrad Black or something did that.
Conrad Black and Vladdy Guerrero in the same jail cell.
Yeah, which means that this U.S. Open women's final, of course, technically speaking, in Greg Ruzetsky's style, I suppose, although he was raised in Canada, it's a whole different story.
Oh my! We can't even get into this, right? It's not fair. Lennox Lewis, Daniel Legali, we can't get into it.
Yeah, Lennox Lewis is another one.
Who do you choose to represent?
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Okay.
I got to tell you about this golf experience. We mentioned before we went on the podcast about Jay and Dan, Tim and Sid.
Duos,
Tim and Friends,
dynamic
duos and stuff like that, and how almost always, the combination of the duo is much stronger and more long lasting than any individual could accomplish. It just seems that way.
Typically, yes.
Yeah, typically, right. And so you were mentioning. So my my girlfriend's son is 18 years old, and he says he watches. He watched Jay and Dan and still watches the Jay on Right show, like every morning on the loop, right? I can see him with his face in the cereal bowl and he's watching the highlights, and sure, I would do the same thing. And so my girlfriend's like, oh man, this is the way like it was when you were on Sportsline. Like, they would tape it on VHS and watch the next morning, right?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. People did that, and then they go to school and they just talk about it at school all the time. Did you see the highlights of blah, 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 stuff like that?
Guy.
So anyway, so Serena says, oh, by the way, we're going to be playing golf with Dan O'Toole next week. And he goes, wow. He goes, does Mark know Jay Onrait too? And she says, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Wow. So I thought, man, wouldn't it be great? I'll just get in touch with Jay. Say, look, my girlfriend's son's 18 and he's just a huge fan and all that. And could you like write your autograph down on a napkin or something like that? So I can give it to the kid. It would be great for him, right?
Sure.
I haven't heard back from Jay yet, but I thought that's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
But that's I would say kids nowadays, but yeah, 18-year-olds, high school kids, whatever. He's going to college now, but that age, that was like you're just getting into it. See, he wasn't a baseball fan, and now he's a baseball fan. He's gone to a couple games. He watches the games or the highlights. He sees it, on the Jay Onrait show. I'm always going to call him Jay and Dan. I hate them. Sorry. And on Tim and Sid, he watches those shows, right? He gets his bite-sized stuff. He's like, I got to start following the Jays.
Right.
He's hooked. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes you're hooked from a really early age because of your parents or whatever. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's pretty damn cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, listen. So yeah, we're playing golf next week. We're going off to the Kawarthas for a while, but this weekend. Another crack at crosswinds, and it's just, man, it's been great. And usually by this time of the year, my game is in razor sharp shape, and I'm ready to break 80. I don't know about this year; it's been a little more difficult than what happens when you get old. But I'm going to give it a old try. We're playing again on Sunday. I can hardly wait. I played last week with my sons. It was fantastic, just such a great time on a beautiful day. You got to check out Crosswinds if you want to play public golf at its finest with just the best customer service, where they really look after you. Where on a super hot day, they come out with ice cold bottles of water, no charge.
Nice.
They're no charge.
Nice.
It's a public golf course. Go to crosswindsgolf.com. Check it out for yourself. Tell them Hebsy sent you. You'll have such a good time.
Awesome. Enjoy. Is now a good time for me to insert, I want little sports media. This is almost a teaser because after this episode of Hebsy on Sports, I'm going to let you take a little breath, a little breather, and then we're going to record an episode of Toronto Mike, the sports media roundtable discussion. So there's going to be like a lot of sports media talk in that. But I thought this would be a good time to just quickly chat. I saw that TSN Radio has like I think Matt Cause is going to host like a 3-hour daily show all about just sports betting and fantasy sports. And I just wondered, like, what is your thoughts on that? Is that the future of sports radio in this market? Is that it's just like gambling, basically? Is that the future?
Well, it looks like it. You've opened up a lot. Look, I know a lot of people. I was a sports fan. I didn't know what a bet was. I love sports for sports. And I think
that's me.
I think most people are like that.
Yeah.
I think the Johnny-come-latelys may have gotten interested in sports because you can bet on it. Now, I'm not saying these people are degenerate gamblers, but for whatever reason that you want to watch the game, most people have an interest in one team winning or losing.
But usually that's the home team.
Or else why watch the game?
Right,
now, if you don't have a favorite team, for example,
okay,
you just like to win and you like football.
Yes.
And you want it to be exciting right down to the wire.
Right.
You like having action. If you're going to spend 3.5 hours in front of the tube or whatever,
right,
you make a little bet. You're part of a pool. You bet the Super Bowl every year. So now it's just way easier to do that. And you can make prop bets. Oh, any proposition that you want. How many passes will he throw? How many interceptions will he throw? Yeah, they'll take a bet on anything. It's beautiful. It's the Wild West. It is, Mike. Now, as someone who used to gamble pretty heavily, I can tell you that this is the road to destruction for two reasons. One is you want to watch sports for the pure, like it's sports, man. You want your team to win.
Right.
You don't want to be in a situation where you hope someone fails so that you can win a bet.
Right.
That's not sports.
Like you find yourself kind of rooting against the Jays because you got money on the Yankees or something like that.
Yeah. And now you find yourself hedging your bet, even though it's your favorite team. You don't want them to win by more than 7 because the bet's, all that stuff.
Right.
But the purity of it, and this is the reason that amateur sport, the whole idea for amateur sport is you play for the love of the sport. And so anyone watching watches for the love of the sport. Like even yesterday, even if Fernandez would have lost, man, I would have said that was great. That was drama. Some of the points were wonderful. I loved it. Give me more.
Right.
But I don't know what the outcome's going to be, so I've got to watch it. So for me, if I've got skin in the game, in other words, if it's a game that I have no interest in at all, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to make a bet on the game so I have interest so I can waste 3.5 or 4 hours. I'll find other things to do. But it's my favorite team, I'm watching. And so I just think that it's as long as this gambling allows people to experience a sport that they've never experienced before, and they don't listen, and as long as you gamble responsibly, which I didn't do.
Know your limit, live within it.
And that's a very important thing. If that's your entertainment money, if it's like, look, I'm either going out for dinner with the boys or whatever, and I'm going to spend $100 this weekend, and you say, no, I think I'd rather spend it betting on these games and hanging out with my friends. That's fine.
You got to be disciplined.
You got exactly right. Like anything else. Sure. So, I'm a fan, always first and foremost a fan. Here's my favorite teams. This is who I root for. Right. If it's a game between two teams. Now, I didn't have an interest in last night's game, but I love Brady. Right. I love to see what he can accomplish. Every game he plays, I want to see it. It might be the last time I get to see him play.
Right.
I watched the Dodger game yesterday because I wanted to see Albert Pujols' final at-bat in St. Louis. Right. He's retiring.
Right.
It was a walk. They booed the Cardinal pitcher. They walked him. Pujols' last at-bat. Wow. So these are the types of moments. When I watched Larry Walker give his Hall of Fame acceptance speech live, I fucking cried.
Wow.
I cried because this guy is Canadian. I wanted to go and hug him.
Got the SpongeBob pin.
Hey, he's a fantastic, wonderful guy, and he's just so earnest and just so honest, and his family, Terry, Mary, Barry, Larry, Jerry, hysterical, brilliant and beautiful, and he admitted how nervous he was with Fergie Jenkins. It was just so great, and Derek Jeter's speech was great too, and Ted Simmons' speech was wonderful, and I think the best speech of them all, and even I think Donald Fear's speech about Marvin Miller was just so wonderful, and that how Marvin Miller told people before he died would not accept induction into the Hall of Fame.
Wow,
he just wouldn't do it.
Right.
That he had nothing to do with baseball, that labor related, but in fact he did. And the speech by Donald Fear was just so great. These are the types of things I love about sports.
Yeah, me too.
Love it.
Me too. But none of that has to do with who I've got money on. Like, I mean, it's to each his own. I have personally zero interest in a 3-hour sports betting program. But that's me.
That's you. But again, you're trying to get a slice of the audience somewhere. And the other thing is you're trying to
follow
establish
the money. Like maybe that's where the sponsors are. I don't know. Maybe it's all about money, right? So, but
you know how many? I'm not going to say. I think this podcast is complementary, right? Complementary,
right,
to these radio shows.
Right.
That some of them there's podcasts for them, some of them there aren't. Some of them people might listen to live. But I think during the pandemic or whatever, that people discovered this and said, "Oh, there are other sports talk shows that don't." Like today, this morning coming in, I'm listening to an interview with Penny Alexiak on the radio with Scotty Mack and then Ziggy, and I'm like, she's a great swimmer, but I'm saying she can't hold my attention on the radio. Right. And I heard the same interview yesterday on Tim and Friends. And Tim's got a new producer, and I don't know who this guy is, but I mean, before it was Jesse, who's the other guy, who is his producer. Now, so I didn't get if there's an announcement, if this is the new Tim and Friends, if this is the new friend, that type of thing. But what happens is Tim constantly refers to Sid on the show months later.
Interesting.
Whenever they have a flashback, they run a clip of Tim and Sid.
Yeah, because he's still in the same family. So
right,
can do that. Yeah.
Right. Which is fine. But it's almost like, you got to let it go. You have to let Sid go, you have to divorce Sid. You have to get divorce papers before you can court a new friend. I don't know, whatever. It was kind of strange that way.
And then last thing is, we speculated at some point about potentially Greg Brady returning to be morning show host at Fan 590. But I did see an announcement this week that Greg Brady is now the permanent host of the 640 Global News Radio morning show. So he's off the market there, I suppose.
He is off the market.
Insights?
Here's the insight. He was approached by the Fan. I don't know how far they went. He didn't get into specifics, but he said it would have to be a tremendous deal, or else he would stay at 640 because he felt that the 640 was much more stable, that they had a direction that they wanted to go, that with News Talk 1010 really fading out of the picture, having blown up their newsroom,
right,
that there's an opportunity for Global News 640 to contend with 680 News and even beyond, because 680 doesn't do interviews. They don't do segments like that. And so, that's a good future to have. But having said that, Greg is poised to be the next morning man of the Fan 590 in 3 to 5 years.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay, interesting. So he'll do 640 for a while, and then at some point...
well, I think that might be the case. Yeah, I think that... if the Fan 590 leaves their current morning show in place for the next 3 to 5 years, then, it might be the logical successor. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Also,
and you're going to have to repeat that in my show after this. Yeah. Talk to me about Jamie Campbell.
Jamie Campbell, the other night, I was at the Canada El Salvador soccer game, which was just fantastic. It was great. Man, I didn't know there were that many El Salvadorans or El Salvadorians.
Because they all came out.
Or Salvadorans or Salvadorians. Either one is okay, I asked.
Right.
But they were terrific. But let me tell you, when you're down like 2-0 after the first 10 minutes, right? And the beer starts to flow and you start hearing, certain expressions in Spanish that are swear words. And we're sitting in the second row. So we're like, we're like 15, 20 yards from these guys. And believe me, they're all within earshot. So it was very, very exciting. But anyway, so while that game's going on, during the game, someone had tweeted me that what happened to Jamie Campbell. And I'm like, well, and so I'm kind of looking, and Jamie had started the game, had done the pregame show with Joe, had done, I don't know if he had done the first handoff saying, okay, let's go to Buck and whoever, Buck and Pat for the game. And then you usually don't see them until I think the third or fourth inning. They come in with a little insert. Joe, what did you notice? And so when they did the insert, Jamie wasn't part of it. Joe, introduced himself and say, hi, Joe Siddle here in the studio, and here's what I noticed. And
sure,
people were like, "Oh, what happened to Jamie?" Yeah. There wasn't anything out there, and so people were telling me this, and I'm like, "Well, that's." And then by the time I got home, I watched the post game show, which was just Joe on the desk, not Jamie. So I direct messaged Jamie. Hope everything's okay, pal. Like, people are kind of worried, somebody used the COVID, everything. All right.
He's beloved.
Hey, beloved. Exactly. And so he got right back to me and said, no, he had a reaction from the shot. I think he had taken a booster shot, another shot.
Oh.
And
he was eligible for that?
Well, the only thing I can read into is you want to be fully vaxxed if you can, especially if you want to be traveling. Let's face it, maybe there's a chance. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but I'm speculating way too far down the road.
Of course.
The point of the matter is he had a bad reaction to it. He knew he was going to have it. I think he had a bad reaction to a previous as well. Some people just, it didn't bother me at all. Some people it really
it got
knocked
me good
out.
too.
Got you good too. And so, and he was back last night. So he said, no, I just got a bad reaction to it and everything's fine and I'll be back tonight. So good on that. So that's
good.
Now, one other thing.
Yes, of course.
Darren Detition.
Yes.
Our beloved friend, Dutchie from TSN Sports Center for many, many years, has cancer. And so heartfelt, speedy recovery, a man, I don't know what stage it's at or whatever, but man, he's a fighter. I mean, literally, like he's a fighter. He's a tough guy, but Dutchie. So, to all of us, man, get well soon and look after yourself. And Godspeed. Whoa. What's that?
Oh, I was anticipating. That's what a good producer
I'm sitting
does.
right across from you here. Did I give you the cue? Did I give you anything like that?
I figured it would be low in the background while you wrapped up. I've only done this 249 times. I thought I was on the same wavelength as you.
Go ahead. Okay. Or go play Wavelength by Matt Van Morrison. All right, yeah, that's it. Mike was correct. He was correct. Okay, the time is right. to end episode 249 of Hebsy on Sports. And thanks, as always, to Toronto Mike for production, inspiration, a lovely setting here in the backyard studio. All good. Check out his fabulous podcast at Toronto Mike. It's great.
And at 11 a.m., if I may, this is scheduled for 11 a.m. today, which is like 30 minutes from now. I've got the great Mark Hebsy on Toronto Mike talking more that tidbits you got there, that insight into the Greg Brady situation and everything. We're going to put that on steroids, basically, and just talk. There's so much to cover since you were last on a sports media roundtable. So that'll be where, and it's up to you if it goes live on your Facebook and your YouTube. It's up to you.
Yeah, we can do it, sure.
Okay, because it's going live. Yeah, we'll put it on your YouTube. We'll put it on my Facebook. And then, of course, the pirate stream for Toronto Mike FOTMs, which is live.torontomike.com. It'll be there as well. But that's happening in 30 minutes' time.
Yeah, beautiful. Eh? And do you ever get this much information at the end of a podcast, of any other podcast? No, you don't. Thanks as well. Our great sponsor, Crosswinds Golf and Country.
Yes.
Lovely people. Professional, courteous, a commitment to excellence that is beyond compare. In public golf.
Well, let's put it this way. I never, ever, ever wear a baseball cap. Never. The only people who can get me to put on a baseball cap, Crosswinds.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's because that's a 10-gallon hat and you've got a 5-gallon head. Okay, so yeah, go to crosswindsgolf.com. Tell them Hebsy sent you. Book your tee time online now. We're back with another episode next week. Where are we doing next week's episode from?
Up to you, buddy.
Do we have a location?
I'm here every week.
Do we have a location? And and if the weather was inclement, would you schedule it for indoors, or are we not at that level yet? We're not quite there yet.
I will do an indoor episode.
I am fully vaxxed.
I did it with Dana Levinson. I would do it with Mark Hebsy.
There you go. Okay, I'm in good company. Anyway, we're back with another exciting episode next week from a location as yet to be determined. Until then, so long for now. This podcast has been produced by TMDS and accelerated by Roam Phone. Roam Phone brings you the most reliable virtual phone service to run your business and protect your home number from unwanted calls. Visit roamphone.ca to get started.